Today's topic of discussion is laryngeal diphtheria. It is often the extension of facial diphtheria. In addition to the usual toxemic symptoms, it can lead to a laryngeal obstruction and produce a serious emergency. Laryngeal diphtheria usually affects the children of both sex, and the causative organism is Corynebacterium diphtheria. Now let's learn the pathology of laryngeal diphtheria. So once the facial diphtheria extends into the larynx, there will be a formation of membrane in the larynx. This membrane may detach and hang in between the vocal cords, leading to the laryngospasm. The large membrane may cause laryngeal obstruction. So the clinical features it will be producing are cough, it will be hoarse croupy cough, which will be the first symptom. Hoarseness will be there. Apart from that, there is a inspiratory dyspnea that soon follows, which are intermittent initially but become continuous later. So there will be a presence of stridor. The diphtheric membrane may be present on the tonsils. The diphtheric grayish white membrane is seen on the affected part on direct laryngoscopy. So on direct laryngoscopy, the diphtheric membrane will be seen. And the peculiarity of this membrane is that the removal of membrane will result into the bleeding. Apart from it, there will be a constitutional symptoms like low grade fever and tachycardia with weak pulse. Now let's see the differential diagnosis of laryngeal diphtheria. So first differential diagnosis is with the laryngotracheobronchitis. So in history, there will be a exposure to diphtheria in laryngeal diphtheria, while in acute laryngotracheobronchitis there will be a history of upper respiratory tract infection. The toxemia will be present in the laryngeal diphtheria, but it will be severe in the acute laryngotracheobronchitis. Temperature will be comparatively low in the laryngeal diphtheria, but it is very high in the acute laryngotracheobronchitis. Inspiratory stridor is present in the laryngeal diphtheria, while in acute laryngotracheobronchitis it is present with expiratory dyspnea. The chest will be clear in the laryngeal diphtheria, while there will be a presence of rales and rhonchi in the acute laryngotracheobronchitis. On examination of throat, there will be a presence of diphtheric membrane with white patch, while in acute laryngotracheobronchitis there is acute follicular or ulcerative tonsillitis. On direct laryngoscopy, diphtheric membrane will be seen in the laryngeal diphtheria, while in acute laryngotracheobronchitis there is a marked congestion and edema of larynx with or without white patches. The second differential diagnosis is with the laryngeal foreign body. In that there will be a history of inhalation of foreign body. The onset will be sudden and there may be a hoarseness or aphonia. The third differential diagnosis is with the tracheobronchial foreign body. The fourth differential diagnosis is acute simple laryngitis, which may also cause stridor. The fifth differential diagnosis is with the laryngismus stridulus. It starts almost immediately after birth and is never severe. The sixth differential diagnosis is with multiple laryngeal papilloma, which produces chronic hoarseness and stridor. The seventh differential diagnosis is with allergic laryngitis with edema and stridor is rare. The investigation which is helpful in diagnosing laryngeal diphtheria is laryngeal swab. It shows Corynebacterium diphtheria in the smear and culture. A negative report does not rule out the diphtheria. So, unless there is 3 separate samples are negative for it, it does not rule out a laryngeal diphtheria. The treatment of laryngeal diphtheria is use of antitoxin administered after a test dose for the sensitivity. The dose is 40,000 to 1 lakh unit required as a single dose therapy. Use of antibiotics in the treatment, particularly penicillin and erythromycin, are advised. Oxygen should be started at the earliest. Use of steroid will reduce laryngeal edema and toxicity. As there is a laryngeal obstruction, so for overcoming the laryngeal obstruction, endotracheal intubation may be utilized up to the 24 hours. Tracheostomy is indicated for persistent stridor. The fluid intake should be maintained adequately, and the immunization of other children in the family is performed to prevent infection.